Good morning. So today is day 3 and the title is Common and Natural Logarithmic Functions. So basically we're going to see that how we relate exponential and logarithmic functions. So what you need to keep in mind is that logarithmic functions is basically an inverse of exponential function. So we saw exponential functions, right? So, and we know how useful exponential functions is because things do grow exponentially, and we're seeing that right now. We're seeing that in case of the virus, how it's multiplying on a daily basis. It's not squared or cubed, but the base itself is a number raised to the power of an x, so it's growing exponentially. And then whenever you have a function, you always want to know its inverse because there's always a chance that the domain and the range will get switched. So keep in mind what we mean by inverse. Inverse always means you switch the domain and range, and that's what we will see how we go from exponential and logarithmic when we switch between the domain and range. Okay, so let's start with this. For example, this is a, b, and c. They show 3 exponential functions. 2 to the power of x equals 4. So what do I raise 2 to get me 4? So I know that x equals 2 because 2 to the power of 2 equals 4. 2 to the power of what equals 8? So what do I raise 2 to get me 8? So 2 cubed is 8. That means x equals to 3. Now I come to this. 2 to the power of what equals 6? It's some decimal, but I don't really know the value. So this is where I'm going to switch from exponential to log, and you'll see how we're going to do that. So here you notice that x is my input. So this is my input. And 6 is my output. What if I switch the input and the output? What if I switch the input and the output? And this is what I want to show you. So here I have 2 to the power of x equals 6. And if I switch the input and the output, let's see what happens here. I write this as a log function, the inverse. And the way you want to write the log function is every log function has a base. So the base for the log and the exponential is the same. They both have the same base. So here my base is going to be, my base for the exponential is 2. This is the input, and therefore my base for the log will also be 2. So the way I write it is log base of 2. So the base gets written here, the same base as exponential. Remember, the output becomes my input. So log base 2 of 6, because that's my output, which becomes my input, and my input is my output, is equal to x. Do you guys see how I switched the input and the output? And now what do I see? I can find my value of x if I can find this, and which I should be able to if I use my calculator. So for the logarithmic, to find the logs of certain values, I need to use my calculator, and we'll talk about that later. But as long as you understood how I went from my exponential to log, you are good for now. So basically you use this, so you write the word log, use the same base, my output becomes my input for the log function, my input becomes my output for the log function. That's how you're going to be doing. So basically the result of this is, so x equals, I don't know the exact value because I'm not using my calculator as yet, but basically there's nothing but log base 2 of 6 and whatever that value is. So it'll be some value between 2 and 3, right? So that's the way we are looking at it. So if you look at this exponential form, b is my base to the power of y equals my x. Now what do I do to convert this into log? Log, you write the word log, use the same base, input is x, output is y. So that is pretty much how you read it. And the way you read it is log base b of x. That's how you read it. That's important. How do you read it? You read it as log base b of x. Alright, I am going to move on to the next page. So now we're going to go between logs and exponential. I want to make sure that this is focused. I'm losing focus a little bit, so let me see if I can get this back to focus. Let's make sure that we are focused here. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop for now and then we'll pick it up at the next video. I'm going to focus this and come back.